Hello, and thank you for joining the Champion Within podcast, your premier go-to spot for unlocking your winning mindset. Whether you're an athlete looking to elevate your game to the next level, a coach leading the charge, an enthusiastic parent cheering from the sidelines, or an educator molding young minds, the Champion Within podcast episodes are packed with value, sharing the tools and strategies to unlock your potential and rise to new heights. Hosted by mentor, coach, and mindset leader Kate McCauley. Let's sit back and enjoy today's episode while discovering your champion within. And now, here's Kate.
Hey champions, this is Kate McCauley. Welcome back to the Champion Within. Today, I'm beyond excited to introduce our guest, retired Major League Baseball catcher and Olympian, Ryan Lavarnway. Ryan played for 8 MLB teams over his 10-year career and became a World Series champion with the Boston Red Sox in 2013. He also represented Team Israel on the international stage, competing in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, the 2017 and the 2023 World Baseball Classic tournaments. He served as captain during the 2023 European Championship. Before all of that, Ryan was drafted out of Yale University, where he made history as just the 3rd player ever drafted from Yale. In 2007, he had a breakout season, leading the entire NCAA in batting average and slugging percentage. Since hanging up his cleats, Ryan has stepped into the broadcasting booth as a TV analyst for the Colorado Rockies, taken the stage as a motivational speaker, launched his own podcast, and even authored the book, Baseball and Belonging. Today, we're going to be diving into his incredible journey, the lessons, stories, and the mindset tools that he has gained along the way, so that all of my listeners can walk away with strategies to use both in your life and your game. I cannot wait for you to lean in and listen. Ryan, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. That bio could take up my whole podcast. I love it. And I got to tell you, Fenway is my favorite stadium. Even though I'm a Phillies woman here, Fenway is an awesome place. I'm excited to talk with you about your journey. Where should we start? Let's go way back.
Why don't we start at the beginning?
Yeah, let's go way back, right? Let's start, not maybe the very beginning, but let's talk about baseball. Maybe when you were young, whatever age, where you realized, I actually really love this game, and maybe this is going to be something that I keep doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember a life without baseball, really. I think my dad played pickup at the park, baseball and softball, so I was always there. Like, there's pictures of me in a stroller or, with a boppy in my mouth at the park with my dad. What I remember is when I was 5 and I started playing organized baseball, and I didn't really know the rules, but I was uber competitive. I actually remember some of the mistakes I made first.
Okay.
And then I remember hitting home runs and I just remember when I was 5, I decided I was going to be a major leaguer, and that was the end of the discussion.
You could almost see this is so fun. I want to do this. I find it interesting because I've done some stalking. I told you on your podcast, you say a lot. The difference between the best and the rest is really their mindset and how overcoming failures and things like that. You even mentioned it from a young age that you noticed the mistakes, things that were happening. What did you do? Because obviously from 5 to get to the major league, do you have any strategies that you did purposely as a young player or maybe even a professional that helped you when maybe people are like, major leagues, you're not going to play in the major leagues. Like, who do you think you are kind of thing? Or did that not happen for you?
Yeah. So I actually, I give my parents a lot of credit, and especially my dad. He always kind of said, as long as you do your best, that will be enough. Like, we don't care if you win. We don't care if you get straight A's. We don't care if you're the best on the team or make the all-star team, as long as you do your best. Mm-hmm. But then in my little brain, right, I was 5 at the time or however old I was, in my head, I said, well, if I do my best, I should be the best.
Okay.
And that's how that computed. And if I do my best at school, I should get straight A's. And I always believed that my best should be the best.
All right.
So, you talk about people are either motivated by the carrot or the stick. My carrot was being the best, and my stick was not being my best, which I believed those two things should line up. And I really don't remember people saying like, who do you think you are to play in the leagues? Yeah. I do remember the first time that someone said that and it resonated, and it was my college roommate's parents.
Would you share the story a little bit?
Yeah. So I was in college, and actually at this point it was too late for them to have those doubts because I was already a college All-American. I had broken all the records. So at this point it was real.
Right.
But they were like, what do you want to do when you graduate Yale? And I was like, play baseball. And they were like, no, seriously, what do you want to do? And I was like, play baseball. And yeah. I mean, these were very serious people. And I love my college roommate. He was awesome. I called him Dave. His parents called him David.
Okay.
That tells you enough about this type of seriousness there. They're very successful in their own right. They're very successful in very traditional professions. Okay. So going the non-traditional route was just something that they couldn't conceive. And, since then I've learned more about, people put their own story into your story. So they couldn't understand my path. So they didn't see it as possible.
Yeah. I often tell people that other people can't necessarily see your vision, and that's okay. You need to see your vision. And you kind of mentioned that with the carrot and the stick. I'm curious because when I was at Penn State, a lot of the athletes lived together. Was Dave, or David, whatever you want to call him, was he an athlete as well?
Dave was recruited as a rower.
Okay.
And then hurt his back as a freshman. And we lived together our junior year. So he wasn't an athlete at that point, but he had the mindset. He got it,
I was just curious because of his parents, view on that.
Yeah, well, they were a well-to-do family in the Northeast, so rowing was more of a sport there. But my freshman year, I lived with a hockey player. My sophomore year, I lived with that same hockey player and a couple football players. And then junior year, I lived with Dave, who was a former rower.
All right. And did you give Dave's parents tickets? Did they come see you play?
They must not have liked baseball. I think that might have been the only time. That might have been the only time I ever saw him.
Gotcha. Makes sense. All right. Well, let's move into the college space because it's pretty impressive to be at Yale, number one. And then, you're crushing records here. Is this where you really felt I can make it to the major leagues, or did you see that vision before you started crushing the records?
Yeah. So Yale is the exact opposite of the normal path you would take to get to the major leagues in that there had never been a hitter make it to the majors through Yale until me. But again, I didn't do that research. I didn't know no one had ever done it before. I just thought this is the next step on my path. Yale was the only baseball opportunity I had to play beyond high school.
Oh, I was going to ask that. Okay.
Yeah, so I went to one of the best baseball high schools in Southern California. High school was the path to get to the majors, right. But I wasn't good enough to play on the varsity until my senior year. I was young for my grade. I was small for my age. I didn't grow, and we just had a powerhouse team. So I made the varsity and played on the varsity for the first time as a senior, and had to change positions to even get in the lineup because somebody at my position was better than me at the time. But I got the chance to play at Yale. I followed that chance. From the time I was 5, the big leagues was the destination. I love this quote by Jeff Bezos. He says, be firm with the destination and flexible with the way to get there.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was where I was headed. And I didn't know what it looked like on the way to get there. I was just taking the next step along the way. High school, make the varsity team. College, make it to college, play, be the best, make the all-star team or whatever it is, get to the minors, take the next step at each step.
There's so much to pull apart from there, and I hope my listeners, I'm sure they're leaning in. First, what a great story example to set. I wasn't the best. I wasn't the best on my high school team. And that next play mentality to change positions, do what you need to do so that you could play on the varsity team. There's so many athletes in all sports, not just baseball, that think, I'm not big enough, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. If you really do have that vision, there is a way. I'm not saying it's possible for every single person, but there's a way for you to get involved in the sport in some capacity. I think that that's such an important lesson, sharing that story that this wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for you. It wasn't like things were handed to you and come play baseball for us. And now you're in the major leagues. It was step-by-step next play mentality. So you're at Yale. What happened next for you from your time at Yale that you ended up in the major leagues?
You kind of understand things looking back a little more than you do at the time. When I was at Yale, I just thought, like, the next step is that I get drafted. But realistically, I was going to have to do something really extraordinary at Yale to get noticed at all. And I ended up doing that thing. And that was, I won All-American. I was top 10 player of the year. I won the batting title. And that started for me with a smaller goal. I saw our first baseman win all conference, all Ivy League. Woo!
Okay.
It was for me when I saw him win all Ivy League, I was pumped for him. And I was like, that's my goal. I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm going to win that thing now. And I talked to our hitting coach, our volunteer assistant hitting coach. And I point his title out because I think it's relevant to know that it doesn't need to be the head coach or someone in a authoritative power position that can really change your life.
Right.
This was the guy that showed up when he had time, unpaid from his other job.
That's awesome.
Volunteer assistant hitting coach. And I said, hey, I want to win.
For the love of the game, he loved to be there.
Yeah, he loved being around, and I loved him for it. He was a really positive guy. And I said, I want to win all Ivy League. And he's the one that raised the bar for me. He was like, why would you set your goal at all Ivy League? You should win All-American.
Oh, I love that from him.
Yeah, and at the time, that wasn't even in my realm of possibility. Like, I didn't know they did All-Americans for baseball. I thought that was like an All-American football thing.
What year were you, out of curiosity, when this happened?
This was between my freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
So I was 18 years old.
Sure.
And he goes, yeah, you should win All-American. And then he went further. He said, in fact, in the potential I see in you, if you don't win All-American by the time you graduate, I'll be pretty disappointed. Like, you should. You know when your head explodes and your stomach drops at the same time?
Right.
Because the weight of someone else's expectations, you're like, now I have to do this thing to live up to that.
Sure. Right.
But it changed the way I see the world. It really, I started trying to embody what does an All-American do? How do they do this thing that I'm about to do? And how can I do it like that? And it changed, like, it lived in my head. I changed the way I was working out, the way I was stepping in the batter's box, the way I was practicing. It raised my level of focus at all times. I started seeing opportunities to work harder than everyone else that I never would have seen otherwise.
Right.
And that very next year, I was the first All-American baseball player at Yale in over 25 years.
I'm obsessed with all of this stuff because I hear you saying things. I embodied this type of athlete to be an All-American. The words that coach said to you, really, that's the reticular activating system, with mindset, where what you focus on becomes your reality. And you said, I started to see opportunities where I could do different things, train different ways. One, let's start with his powerful words. I think sometimes people don't realize, and he's a volunteer coach. I have youth coaches that I work with and listen to the podcast that have coached my own kids who are older now, but words are so powerful. Let's just start there. And for someone to see that, we can't always see things. I said earlier, some people can't see our vision. That's okay. But on the flip side, sometimes we don't even see our greatest potential. And you need that little push, those words. Do you have any advice for coaches? We're going to start there. Then I want to go into that embodiment of how to become that person, because you can really do that for any area of life. But do you have advice for coaches at any level so that they can be that echo in someone else's brain so that they can rise to their greatest potential?
Yeah, I always think, I don't even remember what movie it was, but I think about it all the time, and I wish I could remember the movie, where these kids get back together after 20 years from going to a summer camp. And they all, the leader of the summer camp had given each of them a special private nickname that was just for them, that they weren't supposed to share with anyone. And then 20 plus years later, they all still have this secret that makes them feel special. And they finally share it, and they all had the same nickname.
Oh, I need to know what this movie is. I don't think I've ever seen it.
But the point of it is it was special and meaningful to each of them.
Right, but it was the same.
But it was, but like to this guy, like he didn't have to remember 200 special nicknames. He just made 200 individuals feel special. that's what my coaches did for me along the way. Is I felt like I had special attention. I felt like I had special expectations. To get to your advice to coaches in a roundabout way is connect with your players and make them feel seen, make them feel like they can be better than they really believe that they can, and empower them to go towards what they might not even see as realistic yet.
I love that. I mean, dare I say that a coach listening right now could steal, we don't know what that movie is. I'm going to search that and figure it out. But that a coach could do that, come up, just like that camp counselor did. A coach, I'm thinking when I was coaching a long time ago now, but you could say to each athlete, you know what? I'm giving you this nickname. I'm not going to necessarily be yelling it from the sidelines to you, but you need to know that you're the beast, or you, whatever it is, the nickname that you decide to give, that would encourage that athlete to keep going physically, mentally, all the things. And just like in that movie clip, every single athlete could have that. And really, it is unique for each athlete when you are talking with them, even though they all may have that same nickname. I love that, to see the athlete as people first and connect with them. So incredibly important. And to me, it seems easy because of the work I do with mindset, but this is something that coaches miss a lot. They're worried about the stats and all these other things. I mean, of course you have to worry about those things, but they're not seeing the athlete as a person first. I love that advice.
Let's double click on this because I love this idea. Yeah. Let's just dig deep. I love the idea of sometimes when someone doesn't feel good enough, they can create an alter ego for themselves.
Yep.
So like Beyonce at first had some issues going solo and being a solo performer. She wasn't Beyonce, right? The queen bee. She didn't feel confident, right? So everyone can feel okay not being confident all the time. But she came out with an album titled I Am Sasha Fierce. Mm-hmm. What do you think she did? She created an alter ego with a nickname, Fierce, which was what she needed at the time. So maybe when these coaches, if they take this advice, if anyone takes this advice, the nickname you give someone can be their alter ego or their own inner superhero, the thing that they need to get the best out of themselves.
Do you know, I actually teach that, Ryan. When I go into work with teams, I teach athletes how to do that. And you basically create all the different things that you want to become, kind of like we were saying, embodying it, and that you literally name it. You give it whatever name you want. It could be something silly, or, it could be like Jim, whatever. It could be a different name, but it is that alter ego, because a lot of times, athletes especially, they play down or they will hold back. They don't want to be too aggressive. It's a journey for a young athlete to step into that next level, because there's a lot of people who have a lot to say. I feel like you were quite lucky that no one said anything to you really, except until you got to that college conversation. Maybe it's Philly, I don't know. But when I'm in this area, a lot of people are on the sidelines. Parents sometimes have too much to say about someone else's kids. Sometimes the coach, different people, your own teammates even. So to have that alter ego and to be able to literally shift into that different person, I love that. It's a great little activity. It's pretty powerful. Did you have that? I'm curious. Or
No, I didn't have an alter ego per se. I did try to embody an All-American, whatever that meant. I would ask myself, how would an All-American do this?
I'm glad we're shifting to that. So what did you do to embody it?
Well, it was a level of focus that I wouldn't have otherwise maintained. Definitely in the batting cage and practice. And at one point, I was watching this old anime cartoon, Dragon Ball Z, and they remove their clothing before fighting, and they're like, I have to remove my weighted clothing before battle. And I was like, weighted clothing? What if I had weighted clothing? So I ended up buying a weight vest that I could wear under my shirt, so it wasn't obnoxious and in your face, but it was making me work harder. And I wore it every second I was awake for months.
Okay.
So every time I bent down to tie my shoe, I had a weight vest on. Every time I got out of my desk chair at class, I had a weight vest on. Even at the bar with the co-eds, dancing, I had a weight vest on.
So everyone's putting their weighted vest on right now, Ryan.
I know. Well, now it's popped. All the
well, they're all going to steal this. I love it.
Yeah, all the hot moms in the neighborhood think it's going to improve their bone density. which
Right.
I've seen conflicting research. We won't get into that. But
Sure.
this was way before that was popular.
Right.
Yeah.
But you do know that everyone right now is like, all right, weighted vest. Maybe I can release the weighted vest, all that weight of the different, shoulds and supposed tos. And that goes not only for athletes, but like you said, the hot moms walking around town. So, wow, what a powerful thing. So then did you physically, like take that vest off to say like, all right, I'm dropping this now so that I can step into who I am meant to be?
No, there wasn't a big like spiritual, emotional removal. It was just like I felt stronger in everything that I did. And I like emotionally, I knew I was like, nobody else worked as hard as I did. It's more of a like, I earned playing well. I should play well now.
Right. Yeah.
Because I put the work in. I stacked up the effort. There's another thing I want to talk about right now that I think speaks to what you were just covering with the doubters and the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
The next year, because I was a sophomore when I won the batting title.
Okay.
And I had another year of college, and I actually had a lot of anxiety and doubt about like, I just did something no one has ever done at my school. How am I supposed to beat that now?
Right.
Right? Like I have to do it again. And luckily, my mom's best friend, who I called Aunt Linda my whole life, is a sports psychologist for Olympians.
Okay.
So just access to the best mindset coach ever.
Yeah.
And I call her crying. I'm at my college desk. Dave walks through. He's like, bro, are you all right? I'm like sobbing. Oh. And I call her, and she helps me understand fear of success and fear of failure. And I think people in general understand fear of failure, but I certainly did not understand fear of success.
That's real.
And fear of success is real because, as you just mentioned, maybe you're doing better than everyone around you and everyone starts to tear you down. Maybe the moms and dads of your teammates are like, who's this kid to think he's better than all the other kids, right? Or your teammates like, oh, this guy over here, right? So the fear of success is real, and you have to understand that you might outgrow people. You might.
Oh my goodness. I am obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. You grieve that when you outgrow people, but you have to be willing. What Ryan just said for all my listeners, you have to be willing to lean in and know that people are a part of your life for certain chapters. They don't always travel the whole journey with you, and that's okay. It's hard, but that's okay. So I got to know, did Aunt Linda say something to you that day? You're sobbing, I assume, when Dave walked through. Then did you called her? What did she say to you, or what tips did she give you that helped you move through that? Because fear of success is real in all areas, not just for my athletes, but for my people in business, as a speaker, when you're out talking with people, can I literally carry all of this? That backpack becomes heavy as you get more successful in anything. So what did Aunt Linda do for you?
Yeah, so she helped me understand fear of success and fear of failure. And I remember the veil lifting from my eyes. Like, I'm not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success right now. And I was like, that's dumb. I've wanted all this success. That's the thing I've always wanted. Like, why would I be afraid of it? It's like, oh, because you have to like shed the person you used to be. You have to shed the people that used to be around you, and you have to be okay with that. And then she pointed me towards The Secret. Have you heard of this? It's, the law of attraction, and talking about, thinking about, being about all the things that you want and bringing more of them into your life instead of thinking and bringing into action the things that you don't want.
Right.
And it totally shifted my mindset, or refocused me on what is the thing I do want. Let's focus on that versus the things that I'm afraid of or the things I don't want.
Hey coach, does any of this sound familiar? Your athletes are talented, but they lose focus when the pressure's on. Confidence swings up and down from game to game. Some play tight and second guess themselves. They struggle to reset after mistakes. Think about it. How many games or competitions have you lost, not because the other team was better, but because your athletes got in their own heads? Every coach has seen it. The missed free throw, the strikeout, the dropped pass, not from lack of skill, but from lack of mindset. That's why I created the Champion Within programs, to bring tools that will help unlock peak performance for your athletes. It's also why I lead team workshops on visualization, breath work, and mental skills training to take these conversations off the podcast and bring it to your team. I do this in person and virtually. Imagine your athletes learning how to bounce back faster, handle pressure with confidence, and step into the game mentally sharp and ready. If you're ready to give your team that edge, let's talk. Go down to the show notes after this show and set up a call to see how I can help your athletes win from the inside out.
Exactly, because as we said earlier, what you focus on becomes your reality. And I do visualizations, and I'm sure with the mindset work you do, you guide people, meet them where they are, guide them to where they want to go. There's going to be moments where that negative talk, that self-doubt creeps in. And of course, you have to talk back and reframe it so that you focus on what you actually do want. Because it's like any sport. I often I was working with football players actually, and said, if you tell that kid, don't fumble that ball as opposed to hold the ball tight, what they're focusing on is totally different there. So do you have any things, I know the things that I do and I teach, but do you have anything you do personally, or that you maybe in your mindset work with people from stage, and if you're doing workshops, that you use to help you focus on the destination where you want to be?
I talk about like when I was hitting, because you say don't fumble the ball. Well, my baseball example of that is don't swing at the curveball, don't swing at the curveball. Oh crap, I just swung at the curveball. Instead of the worrying about the negative things, or even when people are like, clear your mind. I think it's impossible to control the first thought, because the minute you say don't think about something,
sure,
the first thing you think about is everything.
Right.
So I'd rather fill my mind. I always try to think of 3 positive and like very short action words. So when I was hitting, I was always downhill, like murder the ball, like hard. And I don't know, but it was like 2 to 3 intentional, positive, actionable words.
And you would use that every time?
When I was going good, I would. And then when I was going bad, it was when my head went everywhere else.
Okay. I love it. So what about now? What do you do now when you're, going out as a mindset speaker, you're an author, what do you do to get your head in the right place?
There's a couple things. Number one is make sure you're prepared. I think nerves come up. There's 2 types of nerves. There's the I'm about to start nerves, and I'm about to go into this state. And I heard someone call it type A or type 1 nerves recently. It's like I'm about to start. You get a burst of adrenaline. It feels like you're stressed. But it's just, you just need to get started. I always make sure I'm prepared to get started. And then the type 2 nerves, or the B nerves, are once you're started, are you delivering a good product? Or are you spewing a bunch of BS? And I really believe that I'm prepared to deliver something awesome. So the type 2 nerves, the type B nerves, whatever they are, once you're going, totally go away.
Mm-hmm.
And
would you say you're just in the flow there?
That's from preparation, right? So if you believe in what you're doing and you're prepared to do a good job, then you just have to give yourself permission to start.
I love that. Sign the permission slip.
Yeah, give yourself permission to start, and know that, like, especially this is a lesson for baseball. In baseball, you play 162 games in 183 days. Realistically, the only day you feel 100% is the first day. After that, you're tired. You didn't get enough sleep. You were on the bus until 3 a.m. and had to eat McDonald's because that was the only option. And you wake up in a bed, you don't know where you are half the time. Your roommate's snoring. So anyway, you never feel 100%. Whatever you've got that day, let that be enough. Give 100% of that 80%, and that's got to be enough for that day, because you can't do anything more than what you've got. Give yourself permission that that's enough also.
So many great tips. I feel like people are going to be taking notes, Ryan, during this conversation. You're dropping a lot of good golden nuggets here for people to steal. I was doing my stalking, as I said, and there's so much on you. I could talk about a lot of different things. But one thing I wanted to talk about was, why not me? Why not us? Why not now? Tell me a little bit about that. related to your baseball career, what you do now, and how maybe my listeners could steal that from you.
Yeah, so that's the through line of my keynote speech in one of the workshops that I facilitate. We've told a couple of these stories here today, but not all of them. In high school, the key to getting me onto that varsity team and playing was I didn't feel like I was good enough, and the coach had to kind of say, "Well, why not you, Ryan?" And that really unlocked and reframed my mindset. And then in college, when I had the goal to be all Ivy League, and he said be all American. I don't know if he even said these words, but ultimately what he said was, "Why not more?"
Right.
Right. And then the three best teams I was involved in pro ball actually had the lowest expectations of all the teams I played for. But those teams leaned into the "why not us" mentality. So I tell these stories in my keynote, and the idea is it's all about reframing your mindset, giving yourself permission, and be a little audacious, because the world isn't going to give you anything more than you demand. And if you go out there and expect more of yourself and demand more of the world, you'll get it. And I really believe that people can do more, accomplish more, be happier, earn more than they ever will give themselves permission for. And I want to empower and encourage people to ask these questions. Well, why not?
Yeah, so powerful. And when people get a chance to reflect there, I tell people, and this is not my thing, but it's driftwood. When you see something that someone else is doing, that it is possible. So why not you? Why not us? And if you just take that mindset for my listeners and shift a little bit, why not you? Right? Take that and put that into your life and just see what happens. And, you said earlier, Ryan, something about things stacking up the wins. Such a powerful mindset piece of advice right there, that it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you got to put that weighted vest on. You got to do the work and stack up. And then you're going to look back and say, oh my goodness, this is where I am now. Why not me worked, right? Who do you get to talk to? I want to make sure we put that out there, and I'll drop the links for everybody who's listening so they can book you. Who do you like to talk to? Who do you want to talk about mindset with?
I love to talk to people that care. I love to talk to people that are motivated and want to be their best, because those are the people I really resonate with and relate to. It could be sales teams. It could be entrepreneurs. It could be leadership groups. It could be moms. Mm-hmm. I love moms.
Right.
I feel like I had like 17 surrogate moms growing up that all cared about me, and I appreciated them. Really, somebody that they're doing pretty good and they want to keep doing it.
Okay, cool. If you're looking to book Ryan, make sure you go right down to my show notes. I will put the link to his website, all the places, LinkedIn. I love what you're putting on LinkedIn, by the way. So people should follow you there and connect with him, because I've talked to you only a couple times now. I got to give a shout out to Dean, who connected us on LinkedIn, actually. And it's definitely life-changing, the stuff that you're doing. Thank you for doing that work. And I think that more people need to hear you. I'll be the hype woman and put it out there for you. I want to ask about, you said I had surrogate moms, Aunt Linda, my parents, this coach, voices. What would you say, or if you want to give a shout out to a specific mentor, someone that really changed things for you, and maybe someone listening right now is like, oh, I could be that for an athlete or for somebody on my sales team.
Yeah. You know what? I want to tell a different kind of story right now.
Okay.
Because I think variety is key, and people have different styles and people have different needs at different times.
Sure.
So I told a story about Aunt Linda and my high school coach and my college coach all really being positive and showing me the light. But a really powerful conversation that I had in single A, my first year in pro ball. And this had a positive effect, but it was through having the hard conversation. So I got drafted in the 6th round, and we also drafted a catcher, same position, in the 7th round. He got drafted after me, but going into that next spring training, he was somehow already starting ahead of me, and I was frustrated, devastated. Sure. Yeah, and we're in single A, and he's catching 4 days a week. I'm catching 2 days a week, and I got my at bats. I got to DH, but at one point, I went up to the coach in private, again, crying. I'm crying. I'm devastated that I have a roadblock on my way to my dream. And it feels like my job is just to give this guy a rest when he needs it, this other player. My
Right.
job is to keep Tim healthy. And that felt awful to me. It felt like I'm not making progress towards my goal. And I went to my coach and I said, I don't want to be here just to keep him healthy. I want to play in the big leagues. And he looks at me and he goes, you're not good enough to play every day right now. And man, did I need to hear that. You're not good enough to play every day. If we played you every day behind the plate, you would get exposed. And then he took the next step and he said, if you're willing to put in the work, I will work with you every day to make you better. And
I'm obsessed with this guy. And coaches, you have to have those tough conversations.
Yeah.
You can't wear white fluffy gloves with athletes, people in general. If they want to rise up, you have to be willing to give them honest feedback. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be like super negative. It's honest. You're not good enough to play right now, but I'm willing to work with you. So what did you put in the work, I assume, with him? Is that how things shifted?
Yeah. Every day, him and I went out. I mean, he was standing 20 feet away, hitting a ball at me, and I was throwing my body in front of it, right? In the middle of the South Carolina summer heat in catcher's gear every day. But 2 years later, I got ranked as like one of the best defensive catchers in the minor leagues. And it started with that conversation because I needed to hear the truth.
So your advice there, would it be for an athlete, maybe the coach, to talk to their staff, to ask for feedback? Or would it be give feedback to your athletes, or both?
It's both, right? Because I coach now, and there's times where an athlete needs some love and he needs some encouragement and he doesn't see his strengths. And there's other times when he needs to hear the truth. And it's really that's kind of the art of coaching, is to be connected enough with your athlete to know the difference. And the biggest thing for a coach is it's not about giving feedback because you feel like you need to give the feedback. It's about giving the feedback that the athlete needs when he needs it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a disservice not to. You know, I've had people in business and sports, different teams I've worked with, they're afraid to give the feedback. And they need it. They're a team member in the business situation, in the sports arena, where they are afraid to give it because they're like, I don't know how they're going to receive it. But if you're giving feedback, someone said something yesterday. I was actually on a call to do ads for my business and I'm taking training. I'm like, I got to learn how to do this, right? So she said something about being inside a jar and not being able to see the label of, like, when you're from the inside, you can't see the label. And that's why you need that feedback so that, you know, you can feel it back and truly see what's going on. I was like, this is so powerful for so many different things. But people really are craving that feedback, you know, even if they don't know that they need it. And sometimes it might sting. I'm sure it didn't feel great to hear. You're not ready yet, but you needed to hear that. And if I could have anyone take anything from this podcast, is learn how to give that feedback and receive it. But something that, again, sometimes has to be taught. It's so important. When I was a teacher, we had to do that. We had to give feedback because we wanted to see our students see growth. And you're doing your athletes, your sales team, whoever, a disservice when you're not giving feedback. What do you do, Ryan, when you're in a situation now and somebody doesn't receive that feedback well? How do you handle that, or how would you encourage someone to navigate through it?
Well, I'm always a take responsibility kind of guy. Did you give it at the right time? Did you give it in the right way? And if you can answer yes to both of those questions, then maybe that person needs to take their own ownership of like, right, this is something I needed to hear, right? But I always ask myself first, like, did I give that feedback in a way that was productive for them? And did I give that feedback at the right time and for the right reason?
Yeah. I think we do need to turn the mirror back on ourselves a lot and reflect. And listen, sometimes coaches will call me when I'm working with like high school, college teams, and they'll say, I don't know if it's us. I don't know if it's us as the coaching staff. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't, though. Sometimes it's the parents in the stands, the team, whatever. But I think everyone needs to be willing to reflect. Like you said, did I do this way? And what can I learn from it? You know, do you have a situation where maybe things didn't go so well? I know that was a tough conversation, but you kind of jumped into it already. But where things weren't sunshine and rainbows for you, and maybe you didn't take feedback well or someone else didn't, and what happened?
Where I didn't take feedback well, probably there's 100 times. I can tell you, I have a good story of when someone tried to give me feedback at the wrong time.
Okay, sure.
This is now 2011. So it's my 4th year in pro ball. It's the year I end up getting to the big leagues and being player of the year for the 3rd year in a row with the Red Sox. But it's the beginning of that year. So I'm coming off 2 player of the year in a row awards. I'm in my first major league spring training, and we have a brand new hitting coach with the Red Sox that just came from the A's.
Okay.
But this coach was an outstanding player in his own right, like major league records as a switch hitter, fantastic player. But I just met him, and he hasn't built any trust yet. So it's my first day of major league spring training, first batting practice session, first round. I've taken like 4 or 5 swings only. I'm still getting loose. My back is still like locked up from sleeping in a hotel bed. And he starts to make suggestions on how to change my swing. And I remember trying to be very respectful because it was a new coach. And I was like, all due respect, do you mind watching me for a little bit first? Because I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing. And he was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I don't remember much else from that conversation other than later in the day, his boss, the guy that hired him, comes up to me and says, hey, did you tell him in a nice way to shut up?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
good. And then he says, good.
Okay.
Because he needs to earn trust first. We are confident in what you're doing. So in that regard, this coach was trying to do too much, and the feedback was unnecessary.
Yeah, sometimes they're coming in all hot and like, I'm ready to do this. Look at my background, my long list of things.
Yeah, right.
You forgot to build rapport. People first.
And sometimes coaches, and it's understandable now. Now that I've done more coaching, coaches want to like prove their worth, prove they know what they're talking about, make their impact. But sometimes it's too soon. So like, I don't know if that was what you're looking for, but
it makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's coaches that can make huge impact. There's a timing aspect and a trust aspect that has to happen along with it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Ryan, I could keep you all day. I'm not going to do that. You're a busy guy. So we're going to get to our last question. Before we do, I know I mentioned it already, but where should people directly reach out to you and connect with you so that they can work with you in some capacity?
Yeah, my website is under construction to get a new upgrade, but I answer all my own LinkedIn messages. Reach out to me there. I'm on Instagram. I don't see it as much, but I think LinkedIn is probably the best spot until the website's up and going.
All right, perfect. Well, I'll put LinkedIn down there and people can connect. I would highly recommend it. And you are putting some great stuff there. Happy belated birthday. You actually put a great post up for that. And I did take your advice. I'm not even going to tell people what that post was because I want them to go see it, but you're putting some good stuff. So I hope people go out and follow you there. All right, well, let's get to our last question. The podcast is called The Champion Within. If you are the main character in a movie called The Champion Within, and the audience is watching, we're on a cliffhanger moment, screen goes to black, what do they yell? They're on social media hashtagging that they hope you do next.
The screen goes to black and the movie's over?
Well, they're left on a cliffhanger. It's kind of like, oh, what happened here in the movie theater? And everyone's like, what? So you could go in any direction. What do they want Ryan to do next?
Oh man, they want him to keep going.
Where's he headed?
To keep going. So what I would say, my story and what I'm all about is, I got sent down from the major leagues 26 times. I wasn't good enough in high school. There's all these setbacks, but I redefine the story as the setback is the beginning of the story, not the end of the story, right? So the setback, I don't allow it to be a failure because it's not the end. It's the beginning of the next chapter. So my idea in my head, when I see like it fades to black, something happened, something hard probably just happened, and then it fades to black, and the audience is yelling, I hope he comes back for more, and I hope he keeps going.
I love that, and I'm excited to watch your journey and see where you land next. That's amazing. Someone said to me once, because I used to say, well, I was a teacher for 20 years, and now I do this mindset work. They said it was a long beginning. And I was like, well, aren't you correct on that one? So you keep going. I love it. Thank you, Ryan, for spending some time with me today and for sharing all of these great stories, wisdom, tips with my audience. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome. All right, champions, thanks again for hanging out with us today, and we will catch you on the next episode. Have an amazing rest of your week.
Thank you for hanging out with Kate today. And whether you're going to coach, teach, cheer from the sidelines, or hitting the field yourself, remember, mindset is everything. Don't forget to follow the show for the latest episodes, as we all need a little extra motivation, humor, and sanity in our busy lives. Now, go and unleash your champion within you, one step at a time. We're always rooting for you.